aware that I'm streaming. Um, to everyone already here, hello, welcome to another PunKrap, etc. My name is MJ Sullivan, and on this week's show, we have a very special, very near and dear to my heart thing that we're gonna do. I'm gonna start up my Instagram live so that we can get that up and going as well. Again, this is still during during COVID, so we're still having to deal with what's it called? All of the things being shut down and everything, and we're not even anywhere near being done. Having to deal with that, so bringing some light into your time, hopefully by doing some good radio stuff. And I know that everyone else at Govs is trying really hard to. Oh, good. Okay, we're broadcasting. Everyone else at Govs is trying really hard to get everything up and going for you guys so that we still have content. I'm gonna go live on Instagram now so that people can see. Hi, Instagrammers. Anyway, okay. So, welcome everyone to PunKrap, etc. My name is MJ Sullivan, and this week, do you want to know what we're talking about? Nickelback. I know that this landed on a really strange day to do this sketchbook session, which is April Fool's, but I assure you, I'm not joking. In 2009, my parents made the incredible decision to buy tickets for me and the whole family. A whole family came. It was me, my brother, my dad, my mom, going to a Nickelback concert. That's it. That's So we we went to a Nickelback concert at Jones Beach in 2009, and it was Nickelback. It was the Dark Horse Tour, 2009, July 15th, I believe, at what is that? The Jones Beach Nikon Theater. And so we went there and we watched Nickelback. And I gotta give you a background on this because otherwise you're gonna be like, I don't understand why why you have this story. I'm sorry, I'm getting a pencil. So basically, Nickelback decided to go on tour with not only just Nickelback, but Nickelback, Papa Roach, and Hinder, and Saving Abel. All of which are throwbacks because I know they were bands and it was like that 2000s era of. I kind of want to turn my phone around so that you can see me. I can see the camera rather. Whoops. I am not great at doing this. So, yeah, that's a little better. So, essentially, I Hi Taylor, thank you for the compliment about my nails. Yes, today we have teal. So basically, they decided to go on tour. It was like a wonderful culmination of 2000s, or like the late 2000s rock ish, I guess. I'm not so certain. My dad said the sound is kind of weird. I don't really know what I can do about that, just specifically because I'm working off of my headphones, so unfortunately I can't do much about that because we have limited technologies now that we're here in this day and age with all of the COVID stuff. So let's see if I can hear it when we're live. Hello, I'm recording, and we're gonna. All right, well, we're just gonna have to hope that isn't the case the whole time because I don't really have a choice. So basically, the late 2000s rock, of um late 2000s rock of Nickelback and Papa Roach and everything, they decided to go on a tour, right? And so me, being a small child, I was given a I'm going to start to draw so that I can actually start to do what I'm supposed to be doing on this, which is draw. So I'm going to be copying off of, my memory from this is like the stadium itself, but we did like a stadium last week. I'm not trying to do that again. So what we're going to do is, I found, I did my research, and this was kind of like what I was basing my stuff off. The thing that I really remembering was for sure like the Jones Beach Theater, but it was also specifically the freaking typefaces of like all of the bands, like the backgrounds that they had. So like Nickelback had this big thing. Papa Roach, are you kidding me? Look at that. They all had albums come out like in 2008 or 2009, and this was the summer of 2009. Look at that. Are you kidding me? Look at the typefaces. I'll talk more on that later, but I wanted to like the most memorable thing I can remember thinking about that concert is two things, and I'll explain the other one in a second. But this is the one I'm going to riff off of because we haven't really done a lot of type. We've done a lot of drawing, and that I'd love to draw Chad Kroeger, but when I do these, I have to bear in mind the fact that I'm also going to have to do another one of Nickelback eventually because of the fact that I've been to not one but two of their concerts. So I'm gonna have to draw them at some point again later. And I want to hold back. I want to hold back to when I can actually do portraits and stuff, and that's gonna come at the later concerts. So basically, we're gonna riff off of that because I do remember all of those, and that was like I think the tour poster, which is awful by the way. I know this is like hella pixelated, but why would you put all of the dates over the logo because then you can't see any of the it's a nightmare. Anyway, the late 2000s. So basically, we're gonna riff off of that, and I'm just gonna do like a really type heavy drawing here. Basically, is what's gonna happen. So we're gonna start off, give us some room at the top. This is gonna be black, and I was gonna start and paint this black, and then I was like, no, because I think that I want to start off because you see like this like blue in here in this you can see it here, the blue. I want to be able to like use that and not just paint the whole thing black or have to go white over it. So basically we're going to put the Nickelback logo here. Look, it's so ridiculous. And then the tour 2009 here. So this is what's called like either plotting it out or using a grid system, and they didn't really stick to that when they actually made this poster, but like we're gonna try and correct this now. So then we're gonna do the Papa Roach one is here, and then it was like a little bit of space, and then it was like hinder, and then saving Abel. I kind of want to make these a little bit bigger, but then we have like the big ass like Nickelback belt buckle, which is a better photo in here. So because like this poster that I found is like really choppy kind of, I decided to riff off of that in terms of layout, but then in terms of actual like typeface, I'm gonna get pictures from like their actual like album covers and stuff because I think that would be a little bit more easy to follow. And it's more detailed, so it makes sense. So we're just doing like a rough sketch here, and then we're going to go into paint. So let me describe this to you. Picture this. It's 2000 and I think 7 is when their album All the Right Reasons came out. For those just tuning in, hi, I'm MJ, and I'm unironically talking about Nickelback. Leave now if you want to. No. So All the Right Reasons is the album that I first heard from Nickelback or was given. I don't know how I obtained this album. I'm really genuinely uncertain of how that is the case. Sorry. But I received the album All the Right Reasons, and I was going to do a drawing of that album cover, but I realized I wasn't at that concert. I was at the Dark Horse concert. So this would have been a lot of fun to draw, but it's not accurate, so we're not going to do it. And I wish that I could be listening to Nickelback out loud as I do this, but we have copyright, so I can't do that. Basically, Nickelback, I obtained a Nickelback album. I have literally no idea how, but I was given it. There's a lot of like CDs from my childhood where I was just like, I had it, and I don't know how I came to obtain it, literally at all, um, because I had I was given this album, and I specifically All the Right Reasons by Nickelback. And the thing is, it is 2005. I'm 8 at this point. Um, one, I should not have been given this album, in terms of what they were speaking about, in hindsight. However, it happened, so here we are. Um, and basically, there were a couple of albums that there were, more explicit things being talked about, and to be quite frank with you, it went all over my head. I didn't know a damn thing. Um, because why would I? So there's songs, when I was just listening to this before I started this live stream, and I was like, wow, I really didn't know that at all. And now I'm like, wow, interesting. Couldn't tell you. If my parents who are watching can text in and tell me how in the hell I received this Nickelback album, please let me know, because I actually don't know. Um, but before all of like the internet started to hate on Nickelback, because the internet really wasn't like super poppin' back then. Like it was, but like it wasn't like, at least for me, readily available. Um, and so this should be a little wider, but like this is our interpretation. No one's gonna hate on us for fucking up a Nickelback cover. Um, and if you're gonna hate on me for doing a Nickelback cover, you're gonna hate on me for doing a Nickelback cover and not for fucking it up. Um, so I was given this Nickelback album, and maybe my mom gave it to me because there's like one song on it, uh, that had this like music video that went like, what I'll say, viral for the early 2000s, late 2000s, which was, well, okay, first of all, Photograph. That's like the huge one. But Saving Me and Far Away were two songs off this album. Oh, that's probably why I got it. Okay, I'm answering my own question. Because there's a song called Saving Me, and there's a song called Far Away, both of which have these incredibly conceptual music videos. Not Far Away, but that is just like pulls on the heartstrings. Um, so very conceptual music videos, specifically Saving Me. I can still think of it now, and I think that like my mom and I kind of like fell in love with it, um, like those music videos, and I'm pretty sure that I actually might have bought this for myself while at Target, now that I'm thinking about it. Um, and it's not like there aren't like a lot of curses as I can remember, so it's not like, I don't know if it's labeled as explicit or not. We can find out. No, there's no parental things on it. So, oh, and Rockstar was a big song. Like this album actually hit pretty well. I wish I had like a little bit more research on like how well this album did, but alas, I do not. And I don't really have the time while drawing to look for it, because this one's going to be a big boy. We're going to be here for a bit, because this is pretty in detail, and I'm not really like a hand text kind of person, but we're just like, this whole thing is just about experimentation in the first place. So like, why not just like ball out? It's a very complex bee. Interesting. I will say that this is a pretty good design. Um, so we're gonna get rid of. We'll talk about the shit on Nickelback later, because I know that we do have to address it eventually. But I got this record, or CD rather, and I was infatuated with it. I was obsessed with it. I know every lyric still to this day. And my mom also really liked them, again, because they had like a bunch of like radio chart toppers, like Rockstar, like Photograph. Saving Me was a big one for a while. Yada. I think my mom's actually, I still think that you could ask her and she would say that she is a fan of their stuff. Um, and truth be told, they're actually like pretty good. We're not even gonna, I'm unironically a stan of Nickelback. Anybody who knows me definitely knows that about me, and it's something that they accept or at least tolerate, because I'm not going around making everyone listen to it, but I will occasionally mention that I have been to a Nickelback concert. And not one, but two Nickelback concerts. One when I was a kid and given the tickets, and the other one of my own damn volition. And actually, the person um, who is watching right now is the other. Oh, hello. Um, Hello and goodbye. I'm going to watch this on the Gov's website. Thanks, Olive. Hi, Christina. Uh, the one person watching this. So it's basically, I hope you can see what I'm, yeah, you can, okay. So, I fell in love with this album. I still to this day will say that it genuinely, Nickelback is a good band. I don't know what the internet has against them. I don't know why they became this like ever hated band and like whatever. And like I think it's just I like kind of looked it up at some point. And I was like, why like did they do something wrong? Like should I not be following them? Like is this something did they do something basically was my question? And the answer is kind of just no. The answer tends to be that just that people are like, "Oh, like we found a way to pick on them and um it's someone like for the internet to hate and like Chad Kroger's kind of funny looking and like all their songs sound the same." I'm like, if you're gonna do that, do you know how many other musicians you could pull that shit with? A lot. Specifically with the songs sounding the same. I love All Time Low, but all their shit sounds the same. They haven't changed their style in years. Literally. That's what I love about them. And to be honest with you, Nickelback music slaps as fuck. So we're going to talk about that for a second. Why does it slap? Because guess what? They are very diverse. They actually have really good guitar. Big shocker. Really good guitar. On top of that, they have wait, this goes over. Ooh, it's an under over type of thing. They have really good guitars. They have like Chad Kroger's vocals are actually really good. And I hate to say actually, they are good. Like, here's the thing. They still have how many listeners monthly? Nickelback has 8 million, almost 9 million listeners monthly. If anyone's going to tell me that they suck, tell that to their Spotify numbers. Um, so, and how many records they've sold. Like, don't even come for me on this. People listen to them. There's somebody out there who likes Nickelback. But they actually are more diverse than people think that they are. Specifically in the fact that they write a lot of songs that are very, like, kind of emotional. Like, they do have a lot of, like, believe me, they have their fair share of, like, rough and raw and gritty and like either like overly sexual or overly aggressive songs. They have them, believe me, they have a lot of them. And what's funny is most of the stuff that they're known for isn't even that. Most of the stuff they're known for is literally like the songs like Photograph or the songs like Rockstar or like Saving Me or If Everyone Cared or like anything or How You Remind Me. Oh my god. None of those songs are even remotely on like the gritty side of Nickelback. I don't know why people hate on them. I don't know why we picked Nickelback as a cultural phenomenon to shit on, but I'm here to say it's 2020, it's April Fool's Day, and I'm not joking when I say Nickelback is a good band. I'm sorry. Um, I'm not, no, I'm not sorry. They are a good band, anyway. So, I got this album, 2005. I listened to the shit out of it. I don't know how it's still existing as a CD because I absolutely tore that thing up. Um, The funny thing is, right now, I know that Olive has this like on her TV or iPad or something, and people just have to hear me ranting about Nickelback. Hi, Olive, and Olive's family, and Olive's dog. Um, so, and my parents have to double hear me from the kitchen, and them listening upstairs. Um, so basically, tore up that album. Listened. All of a sudden, it's 2008. They come out with the album Dark Horse, and it's also a good album. This album, a lot more edgy than the other album, or at least now at this point, now I'm not 8, now I'm 11, and I know what sex is now. So they have a song called S.E.Sex. I'm sorry, S.E.X. Um, I'm not dumb, Mom, I'm 11. So I was given, not or given or purchased this CD or whatever. Target was always the place for that. This is going to be a lot of fun to paint. I never paint, so this is going to be cool. I've been looking forward to this. I was literally like nervous because I was like, what if I fuck this up? Like, I've been waiting to do this concert for like a really long time. I'm waiting to do a lot of different concerts from these because some of them I have ideas and other ones I really don't. Um, I'm also sorry I'm all over the place. When I do these, I'm just like, things pop into my brain, and on these, on the sketchbook sessions, I don't get to like, I don't have a plan. I just go in like that's what's funny about my show is that certain ones are like really planned out, like people doing live sessions or people doing or me doing like an album review are like very much so planned out like to a T, like I have things written down. And then when I do the sketchbook sessions, those are meant to be for weeks that I like don't have enough time to plan. Like I do this one in the middle of the week because I have work in the middle of the week, um, specifically during COVID. And I can do this. All I had to do was like, after dinner, set up this monstrosity of a setup, um, and we're good to go. But I just like my mind bounces all over the place. It's a good flower. When I'm doing the ones that are here. This is actually a very beautiful album cover. I would love to know who did this. I'm gonna have to draw 5 more of those. Ugh. I don't even know what that is. This is a belt buckle. I don't know what the things on the side are. Um, but anyway, so now I'm 11. Now I know the ways of the world, I think. And so, um, basically, I listened to this album and I'm like, oh, but still not really realizing what everything was about until now. I'm listening later and I'm like, Jesus. Um, I still don't think that this one was like labeled as explicit, because I think my parents would have been a little bit more like cautious of that. But also, I don't know. I was 11. Like my mom curses. Like I don't know. Um, and so they. Sorry, I was concentrating. In the middle of this flower looks like a blueberry, which I really like. Should I draw all these out? I feel like I'm gonna know. Oh, I didn't do the inside. That's why it's so thick. I feel like I'm gonna know just based on looking at it. So I'm not even gonna bother to draw like these fully fleshed out. I'm just gonna draw the little like outlines and then I will fill them in because I'm gonna go in with paint obviously later. I don't know who the one person watching this is. What are you drawing? I'm drawing a Nickelback album, nope, tour poster. So then now we've got that done, we're gonna move on to the typefaces. And the Nickelback one's gonna be tricky because it's got a lot of like like texture in it. So we're just gonna do like the spacing, and then later during the painting process we'll deal with the texture. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letters, but one of them is an I. So we're gonna do that as 9 letters. And we're going to do this neat little trick that my mom taught me when I was a tiny child, and I have literally never not used. Thank you, Mom. So like an N, because you mark the middle first, and then you go from there. Let's see. What's the middle letter? If you count this as 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The L is the middle letter. Nickelbas. Okay, so we're going to count that as the regular 10 letters. Because it's not working. Oops. So marked on the middle, and then split this into 5. But because the I is a little bit smaller, we're gonna split that up a little bit more. So Nickelback. That's the spacing that we're gonna go with. Let's see if Christina said anything else. No, okay. So I know you can barely see this. I'm sorry. I might end my Instagram live. Sorry. So, because it's taking up too much time on my phone. It's a little more stout than what the line that I've drawn already, so I think I'm going to cut off the top a little bit. I hope my friend Basha is not watching because I'm about to butcher some type, and Basha is like the type queen. So the Nickelback logo here is like, again, very textured, but very like straightforward and like kind of blocky. It's sans serif, so we have no funny. That's what this should be too, is me teaching you about art. Sans serif means that, so for instance, right here, so sans serif typeface is this one because there's no extra little thingies on the end, and the dark horse, this typeface is a serif typeface because there's the extra little like caps on the ends of the letters. That's what sans serif and serif means. So like we have, this is a, well, this is a fun font, but this is, would I consider this a serif font? I think it's too funky to tell. This is a sans serif font. Serifs are like these little things, like the extra caps. So this is a serif font. Not that you wanted to know, but just for kicks. Basically, delete it. I'm not even going to put that up. Don't even worry about it. Exit out of Instagram. Get rid of this. Where in the heck is my Instagram? My friend made a comment. There was no sound on my Instagram live. That would suck. Well, anyway, so let's go back to the Nickelback font. What I was saying was, they have this like very straightforward, bold text, which makes my life a whole of a hell. Yep, a hell of a whole lot easier. Yes, thank you. Ooh, brain glitch there for a hot second. And all of their like stems, so like the I, or like the thick parts in the N and stuff like that. That's what's called a stem, and those are all the same thickness. So we have that to work on. I'm gonna skip the C for a hot second. And I know this would have been a lot easier if I had a longer thing, but it's too late for that. So whatever. C-K-E-L. We're gonna go to the L for a second. And I kind of want to use something to make this straight. So we're going to put up a right corner up against this corner. And we're going to mark off this line. If that actually did anything. No, I don't even think that it did. Okay. Could I use a ruler? Yeah. Am I going to get up and go get the ruler that's about 4 feet from me? Absolutely not. We were pretty straight the way that it was before, actually. So that's neat. But we're going to put this to this line, and we're going to do the same thing on the top as well, just to make everything all nice and even. So if we're going to do Nickelback, we're going to do Nickelback justice, man. Cool, cool. That's cool that this makes a little, like, dotted line. Okay, that's not straight at all. Alright, I'm going to get my ruler. How this ruler is here, I have no idea because I have one just like it. Mom, did you take my ruler from me? Who's to say? Okay, line up the corner and try to make that as straight as possible. Should I have done this to begin with? Absolutely. It's already 9:30. I'm gonna have to imagine that this is a 2-hour boy today. Okay. Not that I can tell because there's so many other damn lines, but so the L is gonna go here, and we're gonna make the L a little bit less fat than the rest of, less fat than it's supposed to be, like long widthwise, because we don't really have that much room to do that. Same thing with most of the letters, unfortunately. So I didn't account for the fact that they need a little bit of space between them. Probably should have made it a little bit shorter, but that's alright. And the middle of the E's are actually kind of funky because they don't have corners. They're actually curved, which is weird. but okay. So it's gonna go like this. Why in the hell you would do that beats me, but I'm not the graphic designer for Nickelback. Oh god, unfortunately. Oh, I wish I was. Is that where that's supposed to go? Yes, I can spell. K. Hope this sounds okay. My dad mentioned to me earlier that it was a little wonky, but I don't know how to do anything about that. This K does not look like the K that Nickelback has, because I made this a little bit too high. It should have been a little bit, I should have like cropped it a little bit lower. Again, we're already here, and no one's going to know except for us. It is a very wide font, to be honest with you. Most of the time, if you have a letter like an O or something, it'll be like a square, and I don't know that if you made an O here, it would be. I think it would be a little longer because the C is pretty long. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I should have made this a little bit wider, but that's fine, because then if I make that wider, then it would be shorter, and yeah, the C is going to look not like the C that we're used to in the Nickelback. It has like a line down the middle of it, and then, okay. The annoying part is going to be drawing all of this, and then once we have the paint, that's going to be fun. So it's a very, very textured font. I'm also trying to make sure that the middle line is the same everywhere. Let me check in on Govs and see if anyone has commented, because I literally always forget to. I can see the camera. That's good. I like that it's on a little bit of a lag. But we're still here. Who's doing the drawing? Ed, if you're still there, it's me, MJ Sullivan. This is PunKrap, etc. on Govs Radio. And the B, this is not looking like what the B is supposed to look like, again, because it's supposed to be fatter. But we're going to make that a little bit shorter on the top and bring it down here to this like weird way of opening it. And they have like a very strange inner circle for the B. I bet you money somebody designed the typeface specifically for them, because there's no way that this was like an existing typeface. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. So, what did I leave that for? Nickelback. What? Where? What was this for? The end of the paper, I guess? Maybe. Okay, so anyway, basically, this actually, the A doesn't have a very high midpoint, which is interessante. And this, like, there we go. Again, the whole premise of this typeface is that it's wide. Damn, I should have shortened it. It's too late. Okay, so this concert, right? So I got into them. I was finally like learning the things that Nickelback was talking about. There's one specific song that is just so ridiculously vividly sexual that now I'm like, who produced this song? Who allowed this to be made? Why are there two C's and K's in Nickelback? It's like the most annoying letters to make. So I was like, but I was ridiculously obsessed because there's a lot of good songs on that album too that are like not pretty vulgar. That's the word I was looking for, vulgar. They do have some pretty like good feel-good anthems. Specifically, If Everyone Cared is a great song, which I think we should be using for this pandemic right now. Bring back Nickelback. That looks good for now because we're gonna add the texture later. And they don't even mention that it's the Dark Horse tour. It just says Tour 2009. I don't want to paint all those letters, so we're gonna stick to Tour 2009. And this looks like a general sans serif typeface that kind of mimics the Dark Horse typeface. So again, we're gonna take our paper and we're going to, there's a big, obviously, space in the middle of tour in 2009, but they're both 4 letters, which is awesome. So we're going to put a line down the middle of where tour is going to be, another line to separate this out. This is our space, so nothing goes there. And then another line between this, another line between this, so that we have it, and they're all like general even sections so that we can put this out. So it looks pretty standard sans serif typeface. T's a little funky, but I don't know if that's just because I have this janky ass Pinterest photo, but we're gonna do it like that anyway for kicks. So got really into this. I was really in love with, like, when I was a kid and I would receive physical albums like in my hands, I would get really obsessed with the actual like CD, like the physical CD itself, because oh my god, you used to have, and any person who's like listening to this who's like over the age of like, I don't know, 30 something, who like had to do vinyls and stuff, and like CDs were not like ridiculously popular back then, is going to be like, are you joking me, you freaking weirdo Gen Z millennial hybrid? Yes, I know. However, because we still had CDs back then, and there were like the little book jackets inside. Oh my god, I was so excited to have those. I loved them. I just thought it was so clever that somebody would include all the lyrics in the back of the book, and honestly, we need that now because sometimes I don't know what they're saying, and the internet isn't always right. This is interesting because the 9 dips down below the rest of this. It goes down into the descender more than any of the rest of this does. When you have like an all cap type of thing, normally it doesn't go down to the descender, but this 9 does, so we're going to respect that, respect his wishes, and let him go down there. So basically, next up down here is the Papa Roach. Actually, we're going to take a break from doing something fancy. All right. Papa Roach one is a tad complex, to say the least. This is the most complex one that we have. It looks like this, and it is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letters long with a space, so that we're going to count that as 10, but the P is huge, and so is the H. But it's also, I believe, a little bit curved. So, and it has this like funky little like tramp stamp pattern below it. Here's the midline of the page. I can't wait for you to like be looking through this book, someone, and being like, oh, cute kid thing. Oh, cute kid thing. Oh, like fun drawing. Oh, like black stage. Nickelback. It's gonna be fun one day. So we haven't even gotten to painting yet. P general. I'm just gonna sketch this one out, kind of rough. A, another P, another A. The R, the O, the A, the C, and the H. Hache is pretty big as well. So that's where that's gonna go. Basically, gotta stop saying basically. I say it too much. We're gonna go to the other one because it's more easy to read. So this is a very like gothic type of typeface. This would be something that you'd use for like tattoos nowadays, but back when it was first kind of invented, it was more used for illustrated manuscripts, which were like the way that you would write back in the day when you had like scrolls instead of like, I don't know, paper and shit. So yes, I went to graphic design school. Yes, I know what an illustrated manuscript is. There's like this whole collection of them at what museum? I want to say the Met, actually. We went to like an exhibit there with our teacher, which I thought was buckets of fun, and everyone else in the class hated, because they were busy, but I was like, this is cool. So, anyway, I keep jumping around. So this tour, right? I got really into them, and my mom was, again, also super into their stuff, specifically because they had like this one song off the album, which I believe is called Gotta Be Somebody, and she was a fan of like the more radio popular songs that were on, I'm recording sound, right? The more radio popular songs that were also on, radio for Nickelback, Radio popular songs or radio. Yeah, no shit, MJ. But somebody in our family decided to buy tickets to the Nickelback concert in 2008. What this means is they knew I was such a big fan, and I thank you guys, because I know they're listening, for buying me tickets to this, because believe me, this had an impact on my life like you don't even know, and I didn't even know until years later. And I'll tell you part of the reason why I'm doing the typefaces in a bit. So, we got tickets to this, and where? Okay, there we go. Thankfully, a lot of these letters are duplicates, so then once I learn how to draw them, I can just redraw them. We'd love to see it. So, and a lot of this is just going to be, the most painting heavy part is going to be at the bottom, and then this is just going to be really nice, hopefully calming painting. This might take me a little bit longer than my allotted 2 hours, so I might have to end up cutting out at some point. So I'm sorry if that happens. I'm just seeing this and how complex it is. I don't think that I thought this through, but now we know, so that's fine. I'm gonna make the weird tramp stampy part of this. It goes through, jerks here, comes back, goes through the P, dips down below the A into a circle, and then hits the middle like that. So we're gonna duplicate that on the other side when we do it, just now. So this concert, I'm sorry. So we got tickets. My mom or my dad, or both of them, got tickets for me, my brother, and my father, and my mom, obviously, because she bought them, to see to see Nickelback in concert. We have this venue called the Jones Beach, now it's the Nikon Theater, and they kind of do just what I've come to understand at this point is the concerts that require a larger stage because people on Long Island are bored during the summertime, so what else are they going to do but spend their money on cheap concerts on a beachfront but ridiculously priced booze? I.e., a Nickelback concert, a Daughtry concert, the Plain White Tees, the Goo Goo Dolls, and believe me, I love all these people, so I'm not shitting on them. The BLI Summer Jam. What else? Jimmy Buffett comes there every year. That's just the thing, right? One Direction came there once. I don't really know why, but they don't really have a big docket of people. It tends to just be oh, Panic came there anyway. They have excuse me, 2 or 3 big name concerts there each year, and then that's it. And most of them are just you're hey, well, we have nothing else to do during the summer. Let's go see Train for $10. And so Nickelback, at what I would argue is the peak of their stardom, had a concert at Jones Beach. That O should have been a little smaller because the R should be it's fine. So, because they really emphasize the H because it's on the other side of the P, which I understand, and all of this gets crapped up when I go like this because I'm a lefty, so I draw this way. But basically, they got tickets to this concert for us, and it was cool, it's gonna be a family night out, whatever. But because they knew that I loved them so much, they got me and my mom, or whichever parent wanted to sit down with me, tickets that were closer to the stage because they couldn't get ones for all 4 of us together because I guess they got them later, whatever. And so my brother and my father sat up further, and not that far, but enough. And they took us to this concert, and my parents still reflect on it and be oh God, Papa Roach or whatever. Here's the thing, and they're listening, so I don't want to be too rude about this, but they were so good, man. I remember that genuinely, this I think is one of the concerts that I will put on the books as not the best, but Man, it's up there in my memories. It's like one of the first like real memories I have is like being a kid of like actually going to this concert. I remember like we were trying to like get my brother to be closer at some point because we knew that like he wanted to be able to see and I don't think he really cared. Because that's just kind of Jared's thing. He's not much of a concert man, even though he is a musician. Um, but I was amped. I was absolutely amped to be at this concert because I think it's funny now, like looking back on it, because it's like very obvious that I was into music from a young age, like me looking back on my own actions and thoughts and stuff, but I just really never realized it. And I always thought, I say this a lot, but I always thought that if you were into music, you had to know how to play music, and that's actually not the case. It's kind of like sports. Like you don't have to play sports to be into sports, you know? Um, I guess it helps, but like you're allowed to like be into, hold on, drawing the tramp stamp thing and it's harder on this side. Where does it buckle? Buckles twice. It buckles here and then it buckles again at the, it's not the way it does it though. That's not the way I did it here. So it buckles, I have to go up, up. So it goes into each other. Yeah. So this is the reverse of what I want to be happening. Just this side up first and then back in over here. And then on this side, it swoops back up into the H, like that. So that went a little bit too far down. Basically, there we go. Cool, cool, cool. Let me remove this. Let me get that out the way. We're gonna do the Hinder logo now. Oh my god. What I remember is this. Look at this monstrosity, and we don't get to draw it because it's not part of, I couldn't really fit that anywhere. We could make it the H, but I don't really want to. So, again, 6 letters in Hinder. Reason I'm doing this in paint, well, maybe, should I? I don't know. We'll figure it out. The reason I thought I was going to do this in paint, I still want to, is because accuracy with small brushes, Jesus, with small brush, holy shit, small brushes, as well as the fact that down here I have like the more painted version of this, but we'll see, we'll see. So Hinder, like H, the I is pretty small, the N space, the D space, the E space, the R. It's a bigger section. We'll figure it out. Wait, I'm not really worried because we have this extra space in the middle here. This is actually a pretty fun typeface because it's got like, it's sans serif, but it's a little funky. It's got like these little weird like diagonals on some of the ends of them. It's fun. It's funky. Wonder who they were signed to. So we got tickets to this thing. Hinders is really spread out. That needs to be shorter than it is currently because that is what sells the Hinder look. And like longer. So if I can. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Perfect. So we went to this concert and I didn't know when I was a kid that there were like openers for concerts. I was just like, "Oh, you go." Because like I think for the concerts that I mentioned before, like I don't think that the American Idol one had an opener because there was like 7,000 people performing at that concert. So I don't think it was like something you had to consider. And then the other concerts were like Hilary Duff, and I don't think I was old enough to even be conscious of even if there was an opener. What are the other ones that Neil Diamond? I don't know that there'd be an opener for Neil Diamond. Another Neil Diamond. Why am I even thinking about this? So like, I don't think there was an opening for like the Good Morning America show. I don't think there was an opener for Neil Diamond. I don't think there was an opener for American Idol, and I don't think there's an opener for Neil Diamond again. That or we either showed up late or I genuinely wasn't paying attention because I was under 10. This is the first concert I've been to when I was over 10. Because I would have been, can I not do math? It's okay, so I would have been 11 here. So that's a lie. But I would have been 12 here. That makes sense, because at first I was like, I don't know about 6. Well, because this was like at least 6th grade. Oh my God, it was 6th grade. You know why? Because we got afterwards a t-shirt in the parking lot. I got a t-shirt in the parking lot from the men that sell them out there. And I wore that thing to death. And finally one day, my mother was like, hey, you might not want to wear, bless her soul. I don't know how she knew they were lame. But she was like, you might not want to wear band merch unless they're like either like old rock or like super popular. And I was like, whatever. And then eventually I gave it away. I'm pissed I gave it away, but I'm not pissed that I stopped wearing it because I don't think people like, I wore this like well into 9th or 10th grade, mind you, by the way, because I thought it was fucking cool. Um, no one else did. I don't know that they didn't, but I probably wouldn't have if I'd seen somebody else wearing it. So I would wear the absolute shit out of that today, but I don't have it. And because they're like the like bootleg version, like nobody sells the exact one that I want. I don't think my brother has it anymore. Oh, I'm pissed. I would wear that. Please, somebody get me a Nickelback t-shirt. I will absolutely wear that. That's the Hinder logo. And then the Saving Abel logo is fancy as fuck. Look at that. You kidding me? It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I wish I could trace it, but that's not what we're going for today. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Um, so they don't know that there's openers for this show, right? Because why would you think to research that? I wouldn't, because I'm a baby. So, I don't know where my phone is. Saving Able logo is a little bit bigger and longer than the Hinder logo, which is unfortunate. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letters, but saving is longer than able. And there's this little tiny, like, I don't even know what in the middle, but there's like, so there's the 3 dots here. We're going to go with like the big S chunk here with like the A, the V, the I, the N, and then the G here with that little weird logo here, and then the weird long ass A. I'm just sketching this so that I can see where it's going to be. The B, the E, and the L. That's going to fit on the 3 dots over here. Don't even worry about it. So they didn't think to look if there were openers, right? And I'm a child. So, and like cell phones were like super, like not like super, like they weren't like iPhones and shit back then. So, just funny because someday somebody's gonna listen to this and be like, what? But, or hopefully. Um, basically, I have to stop saying basically. I've been doing that a lot recently, and it's almost like as bad as saying sorry for something I didn't do. So, maybe worse. So, I am pumped to this concert. We get to this concert, and somebody's already playing because, and at first I was like, oh no, did we miss it? No, we didn't miss it. Which my parents reassured me because that was not Nickelback. So we get there, and Saving Abel is playing. And there's one specific Saving Abel, because Saving Abel had just come out with their debut record at this point in time, which is self-titled. And there's one song on Saving Abel's record. It's called Addicted, and it is a fucking bop. It is genuinely like how many plays does this damn thing have? A lot. Like over let me don't put words in my mouth yet. Hold on. The song Addicted has 75, almost 76 million plays. Oh my God. We're actually they're only 70 plays away from being at 76 million plays, which is crazy. So they had just come out with their debut album and they're opening for everyone. And they're like all four of these bands, nobody here is like screamo or anything. It's just like not what you expect in like the middle of suburbia on like your calm Nickelback night. And I don't think that my parents also realized that there were a bunch of Nickelback. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they're listening and they're laughing to me right now. I have no idea. But I don't know that they realize that a lot of the Nickelback songs are also really not super PG. Um, but I knew that. So we show up, and Saving Abel is playing, and I was like, what in the ever-loving hell is this? Like me as like a 12-year-old, right? And I was pumped. I was stoked. I was excited as shit. I remember showing up and being like, what do you mean there's more music? They just give you more music for free? We only bought tickets to see Nickelback. So we show up, Saving Abel is playing, and I can't remember the songs for the life of me, so don't ask, but oh, I'm gonna fuck this up. I made these too big. But then Hinder comes on, and Hinder's actually probably the calmest band of all three of these, funny enough, when listening to this right before the show. Their main song is Lips of an Angel, which is a pretty chill song in all honesty. And then comes out Papa Roach. And my parents were like, what in the ever-loving heck is this? We did not sign up for this with our children. What is this? And so I'm sitting there like bawling out. I was pumped. I can remember not wanting to like show my enthusiasm because I didn't want to like, I don't know, scare them. And what's so hilarious about me being like really into like harder music now is like I'm such a goody two shoes. I still am, but just like the aesthetic I happen to really like is something that adheres to people who are not goody two shoesy, which is I guess unfortunate, but I think that that's people are kind of peeling away from the what like more gothic or like metal esque. I don't know how to say that, like emo stuff is now. I think that it's not as perceived as like bad or like degenerative. I hope anyway. That E is gonna kill me. We're making these smaller. I know you're not supposed to do this in typefaces and they're all supposed to be the same size, but I didn't plan this out correctly. I thought I did. It looks fine. So it's just those three dots on the end that aren't gonna make it. I'm sorry, you've been cut. You're not making it to Hollywood. So going from the Neil Diamond concert to this, that looks pretty good. I'm actually very satisfied with that. And it is 10 p.m. Incredible. We have our outline done. And now we're going to jump into the painting. So again, this is what this looks like. So we're going to go with all of this is going to be white and all of this is going to be, the background's going to be black, and we're going to leave this to do like a blue and black and white painting. We're going to say that to the end so I don't scrape my hand over it over and over again. But what we're going to do is we're going to outline everything in black and then we'll fill in with white if necessary because I don't know that the paper is like perfectly black. I'm going to check in. Oh, did I grab two whites? No, I didn't. Okay, I'm good. I'm going to check in on the Govs page to say hi if people are still watching. Who's to say? No one has commented. Okay, so we're going to pour some black down. We're going to get the skinniest brush that I have. Jesus. We'll use it at some point. So the reason that I did, it's not the skinniest brush I own. The reason that I decided to do this as my piece for Nickelback was because when I was, I should have looked and tried to find my super skinny brush. I don't think is in here. No, so we are going to make do with what we have, which is this. But when you put it in a little bit of water, it does that. So now it's very skinny. So, and I'm gonna have to be very careful with this because what's funny is I shouldn't talk because then I won't make straight lines. But if I don't talk, this is gonna be weird on audio. Well, I mean, it's kind of like a grungy typeface, so I kind of do want it to be like not fully straight. Anyway, I'm gonna put that down so it doesn't leak onto the other pages behind it, and thankfully what's behind this is another painting, so not too big of a deal, but actually this is a skinny enough paintbrush, that's good. So I remember very vividly that they had like banners for each of the bands behind them when they played, and I remember just thinking that it was so unlike anything I had seen at a concert before. And that wasn't like a bad thing. It was just like, or rather, it wasn't a bad thing for the other concerts. And you'll see me, by the way, I'll like twirl this a little bit so we get a really close, tiny point so that it's better. I should have started on the other side. Literally all the time, I do this where I start on the side that I'm going to trace my hand over. I don't even think about the consequences. So, hold on, I'm going to make a line all the way across this so that I can just riff off of that. Need more paint. And we're gonna hope that's as straight as it can be. If this wasn't like just for myself and I wasn't like a little bit pressed for time because we only have 2 hours of stream time, I would like put my hand up against something and then rotate my wrist. But this is really just for me. So I'm super pumped for when this is done. Just to like have it. Because again, I've been wanting to do this for so long. I think the last concert that fits in here is in 2000. Well, I think I might actually cap it at my 100th concert. I think I might keep this book to the 100, just 100 concerts, and then do another. Oh, that's probably smart. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So, paint this out up here. Leave enough room. Actually, and I'm going to use a different brush because I don't want to screw up the tiny one. So, I didn't leave enough room for where it was, but we will just paint that in white paint later. So, I wish I could be rocking out to Nickelback right now. Oh wow, and the next concert after that is literally the Jonas Brothers concert. I like the juxtaposition between the two. So, what I was saying was that we're at this concert, and the reason that I picked this to do the typefaces was because I don't remember. Yeah, that's not even at all. It definitely slopes, but whatever. So when you're looking at a sketchbook, it gets messed up too. So, I remember just being so enamored of like what I was seeing on like the because they had like hey, Saving Abel was like just starting out, so like they didn't have a lot of money, and like Nickelback's like production team got together on this and like did some cool stuff and whatever. But specifically, I remember Saving Abel and Papa Roach's because their typefaces are a little bit more dramatic than Nickelback's and Hinders, which are again sans serif, and these are a bit more gothic. I remember being so enamored, even at 12, of like the beautiful typefaces that were in front of me, and now I'm like, Jesus, I could have seen that coming. Now that I'm like a graphic designer, and I'm not like super into typefaces, but like, damn, I appreciate a good one. And these are cool. And there's like this huge aesthetic with rock and metal bands that have this like again incredibly gothic type of vibe to them, and I was just like, wow, this is so cool, and it's something like I've never seen before because being raised as a girl in society, they tell you to like all the girly things, and I was like, damn, this is whack. I love this. Like, this is so cool, and like this isn't like girly, so inherently like quote unquote, I guess I shouldn't like this. But I was like, wow. And now that I'm like into punk stuff and whatever, I'm like, oh, no kidding. Okay, looks good. I'm gonna have to go. Ugh, I should have just painted the whole thing white. We might just pretend that it looks white. So I don't really know that I feel like going in and doing all of these later. Yeah, we probably should have started off with a white background, in all honesty, but it's a little bit too late for that now. I don't want these edges to be squared because they are really not. They're a bit more curved around the edges. So, and this is a little bit too high for my liking. So I remember being really, really into this, and I remember being really into the music too. I remember being like not understanding why my parents weren't into it, and now I'm like, that's not their style, and that's totally cool. And also like specifically when you have like two younger children, because I would have been 12, and my brother would have been 9. So I understand being like, whoa, what's happening here? And my mom and my dad are both not, metalheads by any means. So I entirely understand that. But now looking back, I'm like, wow, I was so into that. And like Papa Roach has like a lot of good songs. Saving Abel, I only know the one, but like Addicted is such a good song. The vocals are so good. The guitars are so good. I don't know, like they're good experiences, and I think that like getting to experience that maybe unknowingly like unlocked something within 12-year-old MJ's brain. I don't know. But this is very therapeutic. It's like doing your eyeliner, but like a bunch of times. So I was like, let's pay homage to this concert that really changed my music perspective. And like, I didn't even know it at the time, right? I don't even think I realized it until I was like trying to decide what to do for tonight. And then I was like, well, I have another Nickelback concert that I've been to, but way later, like not even within this book. Maybe. Actually, definitely. No, it is definitely in this book. But they, COVID permitting, are playing again at Jones Beach this summer. And I bet my bottom dollar will be there if they actually do it. So I wanted to save for that one because I saw Nickelback with Chris Daughtry. I wanted to save doing portraits for that one because I really want to do a really badass portrait of Chad Kroeger. That's a sentence I never thought I would say. And I was like, well, if I do it now, I don't really want to draw 2 portraits of Chad Kroeger. No offense. So it's not him, it's just more me. I don't want to fuck up his face twice. So I was like, well, let's just pay homage to this. I literally remember, I can picture it, and I was gonna draw that, and then I was like, nah, because I didn't want to draw another concert setting. Again, I have to be conscious of like what other concerts I know are gonna need like me to put them in the actual setting, and then other ones I know are gonna be like a bit more abstract or like portrait oriented. So I didn't want to take like the Jones Beach star away, and I can draw Jones Beach more than once. Like don't get me wrong, but I definitely like don't prefer to draw the actual setting of the concert, and I've already done that twice in this series. Um, so I don't want to do that again. And I was like, okay. I remember like seeing their posters, like their, crappy tour, what is it called? It's not poster. It's like banner? Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. So their tour banners in the background of them. And I remember being like, oh, that is so freaking cool. And this time around, I was like, oh, I want to draw that. So that's what I'm doing. Having a steady hand for this is necessary. I know it's like a little bit glary, and the black paint always does that, and I'm sorry. And once this is dry, I'm going to go back over it and erase all of the pencil lines that you can see underneath. I was looking forward to this literally since last week. I was like, when's the next time I can add to this sketchbook? And I never thought I would say that. I hate sketchbooks. Hate them, hate them, hate them. Because they just intimidate me. And I am scared to mess them up. Especially, I was scared to start this because I was like, oh, this has to be important to me. And not everything important has to be good. It's just the truth. And not everything important has to be big or meaningful to other people. It can just be good for you. So if people want to shit on this, they can. My fear was always like, oh, I went to art school, like my sketchbook should be good. And I'm like, you know what? What's good? What's a good sketchbook? A good sketchbook is one that you work in. That should be what it is, right? One that you actually put time and, your heart into. Most of my sketchbooks are not even all drawings. Most of them actually are a lot of writing, a lot of to-do lists a lot of the times. And that is perfectly fine. You are allowed to do whatever you want. Literally ever, most of the time, as long as you're not hurting anyone else. Okay, could be better. It's too late. Now we already put the black paint down. So, the concert, I have vivid memories because they had the song Sex slated to play on the set list, and I remember turning the set list towards my mom and being like, oh no, because like Jared doesn't know what that is, and she was like, well, then we have nothing to worry about, do we? And looking back, I'm like, yeah, you're right. So that was funny. I remember that. And she was like, whatever. And I don't actually even know how that song goes. They had this one song. Oh my God. It's called Burn It to the Ground. My mom loved that song because it's like pretty baller. I thought as a kid it was about like, oh, like burning a town down, right? No, it's just about going out and drinking hard. That's fine. Cool for you. Today actually, or yesterday, I guess today was 3 months for me without having a drink or substance, if you want to put it that way, which I'm happy for. But this whole song is basically just about having a good time with your bros and doing what makes you happy, I guess. And so the whole song though, it's a pretty baller song. I'll give them that. Where does this start to go blue? Only around here. So it's a pretty baller song, and it's about for certain things like this, like the smaller things in here, I'm gonna paint over it, and then we're gonna paint over that with white because there's really no salvaging something that's not like a full, like a paint-inable thing. And the Nickelback one is a little bit more textured, but I know that like the Papa Roach one and the Saving Abel and the Hinder ones are pretty stark white, so I'm going to be more careful on these than I was on the Nickelback one. So anyway, that song comes on, and there's a line in it that says like, that shit makes me batshit crazy. And as a kid, because I was listening to it, obviously, my parents let me, but I was like, and I was also 12, like I've heard this before. But because I'm not deaf, I'm 12. So I was like, I would bleep out the curse words, right? Because duh. And I wasn't even like saying them at the time. And then one day I was singing it, and I was like, I think I was in front of my mom, and I accidentally said, I bleeped out the word bat instead of shit. So I said, like, that makes me shit crazy. And she was like, and I was like, and she was like, nah, dude, you didn't even mean it. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, thinking like she was gonna kill me. But that was funny. And that song came on during the concert, and she was amped about it. And I just remember it's a really good memory actually, because it was like I spent time with my mom while listening to it, and I got to know that like my brother and my dad were there, and we got to drive home, and it was like late, you know. Um, I don't know. I just kind of picture that as like a good memory, even though we weren't all sitting like directly next to each other. Um, and yeah, I don't know, simpler times. Even like listening to it, it would come on in the radio and stuff because it was like popular on the radio back then, and my mom and I would kind of jam out to it. Um, I remember when we had to listen to, rather when we wanted to listen to the Saving Me song, we'd have to like wait or like tape it if it came on like those music video channels. Kids, listen in. Gen Zers, this is how I'm not a Gen Zer, because we didn't have YouTube. We had to wait for it to come on, like not MTV, but like the music video channels, like I just said, to like wait for it to come on and like watch it. Um, and you'd like get really amped when the song that you wanted finally came on. Um, so that was cool. And that song came on, a couple others were played. I looked up the set list before. And I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. And I remember thinking like, yeah, like this is the shit that gets me pumped up. Not in those exact words as a 12-year-old, obviously. But I remember kind of thinking like, oh, they should be hitting different than like pop music and stuff. And I still love, believe me, I love pop music. I actually been on a big pop music kick as of recently, discovering a lot of new artists and stuff because there's just so much good stuff out there. Um, could this painting be cleaner? Yes. Do I care? Also, no. Um, and I remember, sorry, I don't breathe when I have to paint straight lines, so I can't talk and not breathe at the same time. That was supposed to be thicker than it was, but maybe we can go over it in white. Oh, whoops, that was too much. So, anyway, I think that kind of sparked, not to say that Nickelback sparked my love for alternative music, but it might have, in hindsight, because they're not alternative. Like, they're very clearly, I don't know, what would you define Nickelback as? Probably rock, new age rock. I have no idea. I don't really even know what rock is at some point, because when I think rock, I think like Queen and like Billy Joel, I guess, and like Elton John and shit. I don't know. Would you count Nickelback as rock? It's probably alternative. It's like that 2000s, because they've been around longer than 2000. They didn't start in like the 2000s. What? Yeah, 1996 was when their first album came out. Oh my god. Do they have an about section? Yeah, they do. It says few bands did more than Nickelback to establish the force of slick, commercially minded post-grunge in the 2000s. Um, Led by vocalist Chad Kroeger, the band initially, they're 423rd in the world on Spotify. That is something for a band that started at this point 20 almost 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, like about 15 years ago. Led by Chad Kroeger, the band initially emerged in the 90s as Canada's answer to Creed, like from the US, prizing a blend of gruff vocals and distorted yet radio-friendly guitars. A handful of singles failed to gain much traction in Canada, which is where they're from. How You Remind Me caught hold in 2001, eventually topping the charts in several countries while gathering 4 Grammy nominations. Jeez. Creed imploded several years later, but Nickelback's popularity only grew as the decade progressed, effectively eclipsing those acts that had once informed the band's sound. Wow. I love that they had to write this about themselves. Oh, this is long as hell. Okay. Anyway, that's hella long, but like they I think that two of them might be brothers actually, if I'm not incorrect. Okay, well, we'll read this part. Chad Kroeger honed his frontman skills by performing in bands in Hannah, a small Canadian town. Uh, After growing tired of playing other people's songs, he borrowed money from his stepfather and relocated to Vancouver, where he recorded his first batch of original material. Mike Kroeger, Chad's bass-playing sibling, wow, convenient, decided to join his brother's band, as did fellow Vancouver transplants Ryan Peake, a guitarist who had befriended Kroeger in middle school, and Ryan Vedelic, who I know is not their person now. I think it's like Daniel Adair or something like that. Yeah, he was from Three Doors Down, which is nuts. That's crazy. I don't think I knew all of this, to be honest. So they released an EP and a full-length album, Curb, in 1996, and then in 1998 they were managing themselves. Um, oh wow, that's crazy. Chad coordinated radio stations, brother Mike handled distribution, the drummer booked shows, and Peak maintained the band's website. That's nuts. I didn't know that. Self-sustaining, bitch. That's cool. Um, in January 2000, saw the arrival of The State, Nickelback's second independent release. They were independent for that? Damn, that's cool. I'm learning so much. Um, Issued at the time in which Canadian content requirements were increased, the album fared pretty well on the indie charts. Nickelback toured ceaselessly in support of The State, logging approximately 200 shows. Wow! Um, Alongside other groups of burgeoning post-grunge genre. So post-grunge, okay. Nickelback's commercial appeal wasn't lost in the record industry either, and its distributions were snapped by Roadrunner Records in the US and EMI in Canada. EMI is now dead, and that's part of Sony. But Roadrunner is still up, I'm pretty sure. As they continued to tour, Kroeger kept writing new songs, many of which were honed in front of live audiences. Much of that material was recorded into Silver Side Up, yeah, which was like their first like big album. Who came in prominence in the early 90s. It was produced by a guy who produced like Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, etc. Yeah, and it spearheaded the single How You Remind Me, which went nuts. It was part of the Spider-Man soundtrack. Long Road then arrived in 2003, which featured another high chart single, which is Someday, which is a great song also. Oh my god, I'm going to listen to Nickelback find this. It sold 5 million copies worldwide. Wow. In 2005, they announced the departure of their drummer, and he got replaced by Three Doors Down drummer Daniel Adair, who my brother wrote and I think might have gotten sticks from him actually. And then Nickelback returned to work on their album, and they released All the Right Reasons, the chart topping All the Right Reasons, in October of 2005. It remained on the Billboard 100 for top 30 for 2 years, selling 7 million copies in the US. That is nuts. Why do people shit on them? It's so good. Oh my god, and this album, the one that we're drawing from, The studio album arrived nearly 3 years later, after it was a platinum selling album. Oh my God, that's crazy. Wow, that's nuts. Um, and then he started seeing Avril Lavigne, and they worked together on that. And the rest is history. They're now doing some more stuff, but I genuinely can't remember. I can't even fathom that they rose that fast. That's so funny. I only looked this up to see what their genre was. But wow, I mean, I'm much more impressed than I originally thought. So people can shit on them, but I'm sure that Chad Kroeger's laughing his way to the bank, because wow, can you imagine the whole internet shits on you and you've sold millions and millions of copies of platinum albums? Wow, shit on me any day if you're gonna continue to support me though. That's nuts. Big support of Nickelback out here. What time is it? We got half an hour? That's absolutely not going to happen. I might end up shutting this off and just finishing this off myself. And I know we haven't even gotten to the interesting part, but it would just be too much audio, as well as I don't really have a lot more to say about this album. I'm sorry, not album, but tour, like past like 10:30. So I'll shut it off and I'll show you guys next week what the final results of this look like. But not yet. So yeah, I would say they definitely had an impact on the music that I ended up listening to later in life, because they are this like grungy. I'd never heard like guitars like that, and I'd never seen a performance like that. Like we were hella far away, but I could tell that Chad Kroeger was having the time of his damn life up there, and I was having the time of my life. And I remember being amped. I remember like being afterwards, like being really excited about it and getting like that post concert depression, but like not knowing how to put it to words yet, because I was 12. And I think this was the only. I don't think this was the only concert I went to in 2009. No, Jonas Brothers. What? I went to the Jonas Brothers in the same week. I went to the Jonas Brothers literally 5 days later than this concert. That's whack. And then did I go to another one in 2009? No, just those two. Wow, what a year. Nickelback, Jonas Brothers. The duo of all ages. I will tell you about the time that I saw Papa Roach again, but I will do that when that concert comes about, because I don't think you're ready for it. But I did see them at Jones Beach in 2009, and they bopped back then, and I've seen them since, and they bopped then even harder, because then I actually knew the lyrics to the songs and I knew what masterpieces they were. Wow, I'm gonna go listen to a bunch of early 2000s post grunge after this. And actually, funny enough, the tour that Nickelback is doing this summer is the All the Right Reasons tour. So they're doing like, it's I think the 15 year anniversary, because it came out in 2005, the 15-year anniversary of that album. So they're going and they're doing a tour just of that album, and I'm absolutely going to lose my mind. Why, you ask? Because this was like, again, one of the first like really alternative kind of things that I listened to. Besides like maybe like Avril Lavigne, most of it again was like classic rock and like pop and Broadway. Um, and I didn't know that this existed. This was like so foreign to me. I had no idea. And so when I started to listen to it, I was like, oh, this is cool. And again, I think that's why it's funny how different people prefer different sounds. Like that's literally what music is. It's just that you prefer different sounds. Because you could throw the lyrics of like a Nickelback song into like the sound of like a Carly Rae Jepsen song. Well, I mean, they kind of work together because they're both from Canada. But all the Canadian musicians tend to know each other. I don't know why. But it's not a small country, so I don't know what's in the water there. But they, you could throw their lyrics into like a pop mood and it would still work. Like their subject matter really isn't all that different from other genres. Like you could have them be like rock or like something like that. It's just the sound. It's like the guitars and the bass line a lot of the times. Like they got good drums, the vocals, that's like a huge part of it as well. Um, ugh, they're so good. I don't even care. Nickelback's great. Come for me. Whoever I marry has to know, has to be not okay. They have to love the fact that I think Nickelback is a stand-up band. So during my freshman year of college, I don't know why there was like this meme going around because Vine had just started. That one day will be a sentence like for me, like I went to Blockbuster. Um, what an ancient sentence that was. Going on Vine, what an ancient sentence that is. So this Vine went around with Chad Kroeger, and it's the beginning of the Photograph music video. And instead of saying, look at this photograph, where he like holds up a picture, people would put things in the picture and say things like, look at this graph, and like take out the word photo. Um, and it was hilarious. And me and my freshman year of college roommate thought that was the absolute funniest thing we've ever heard. So we talked about and would listen to, like actually listen to Nickelback because she also had listened to Nickelback as a kid. And she came from South Carolina, North Carolina. I have no idea. Sorry, McKinley. But she came from somewhere that wasn't even near me and she knew them. So that's something. But they really genuinely actually were a very popular band. Like I don't know why people, the whole internet shits on them. If you're not aware of the cultural phenomenon that is known as shitting on Nickelback, people like talk shit about them and like make fun of Nickelback for being like the worst band and blah blah blah. And like why they decided to pick them, I have no idea. So then if you like them, it's like, ugh, you like Nickelback? Like gross. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't support it. They're not bad. Again, Chad Kroeger can laugh at you off of his pile of money. But basically, me and McKinley, unironically, would listen to a lot of Nickelback and joke about like that, the meme and everything. And it just kind of like came our thing. So when this tour came out, I literally like DM'd her, and we're not like friends so much anymore just because she lives far away. She transferred schools after freshman year and went back to whichever Carolina she's from. I think North Carolina. So I messaged her and I was like, come to New York. We're gonna go to this Nickelback concert. And she was like, don't even tempt me. I will actually do it. And I was like, don't tempt me. If you do it, you got a place to stay. So I'm going regardless of whether or not McKinley gets her ass up here. But we used to like talk about it. And like anytime that there's like a meme on the internet now that is like Nickelback themed, she'll still tag me in it like literally 5 years later, even though we literally never talk to each other. So that's neat. Nickelback brings people together. Southerners, Canadians, New Yorkers, everybody, the three people on the planet. Canadians, Southerners, and New Yorkers. This is absolutely the most tedious thing. Could I have done this faster with Sharpie? Yes. Did I think of that until afterwards? No. Would it have maybe bled through the paper? Yes. Would that have mattered because the other side is also paint? No, maybe. Or this is just going to be the paint page. I might have to do another paint page on the other side because, well, what's after that? Adina Menzel? We'll see. I just have to like be wary of the fact that the paper can be gone through by accident. And I did that only on the first page, but I don't really want to have a repeat of that. Ironically, before I started this, I was like, oh, I should just paint the paper ahead of time so that I can save time. And funny enough, I actually probably should have done that, but not black. I should have painted it white so that I wouldn't have to go in and painstakingly make everything white, which I, to be honest with you, might not do. Just because I don't feel like it. I think McKinley and I talked about Nickelback even before we decided to become roommates, like over Facebook chat and stuff. But I don't remember. This is just me brushing up on my type skills. So I haven't painted in a while, and I also haven't done hand typography in a while that wasn't just my own handwriting. And is this perfect? No. And would my friend Basha, who's like literally a typographer, laugh at me? Yes. Do I care? No, it's okay. We're gonna finish up the Hinder logo because I kind of left him to dust. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. I do get it. Like, I think that the person, so there's one band specifically that my parents are like, oh, they were menaces. And I used to be like, no, it wasn't Papa Roach. Like, it was Hinder. And then I listened again today, and I listened to Last Resort by Papa Roach. And the literal first lines of the song are, cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. So, like, okay, maybe, you know? Um, now that I'm older, okay, maybe. Maybe them. Maybe it was them that you weren't such fans of. And that's fine. But inherently, actually, they're just such good musicians. I don't think I was even fazed by that. I think because, like, my parents were like, oh, I was like, also, but, like, I don't think that my little mind said, I think I was actually like, oh, this is dope. But, like, I don't want to disappoint my parents, so I'm not going to say anything. I think a lot of the reason that I didn't get into the music that I actually like until much later was because of I didn't want people to perceive me differently. And also the availability to it, obviously. But like specifically, I talked about this with Olive when we did the My Chemical Romance um, uh, album review, and actually, which is out today on Spotify. Go listen if you haven't already. And we talked about the fact that, um, like I said, I always heard people listening to My Chemical Romance, and I always just like I thought, wow, that's such a cool sound. Like, what is that? And I think that because of the fact that the kids who would listen to My Chemical Romance were kind of like labeled as like, oh, the emo kids, like, oh, like they're bad kids, like that kind of thing. I think I was always like, well, I don't want to be labeled as that because I'm such a goody two shoes. So I don't want to like listen to that if it's going to make people think that about me. Um, and that's still kind of true, but I think emo culture has kind of changed as the years have progressed. Like most emos I know are the most law-abiding citizens that I know. Um, like Olive is like literally the biggest emo I know, and she is the most chaotic good person. I'm not chaotic. Oh my God, lawful good person that I know besides myself. Um, does that go? Yeah, it does. I think that the connotation of like punk or alternative or grunge being like this like dirty thing obviously stems from somewhere, and I do understand the connotations, but I think that a lot of the times you can't, not to be like cheesy, but like you can't judge a book by its cover. I know so many people, so many lovely, wonderful people who are grungy and like have like 7 million holes in their body that weren't intended to be there by nature, um, and have like tattoos of the yin yang, or like dress like funnily, not funnily, like alternatively, or like all in black, or like like any of the, it's just the way that you present yourself, I guess, or like listen to that kind of music, who are literally like the smartest and like most approachable and like wonderful, beautiful, amazing people that I know. And then you have people who listen to like Dua Lipa, who will like cut your throat the second that you talk to them. Like it's really up to what who you're willing to speak to, and who you're willing to give a chance to. Because I don't think that you can really judge a book by its cover, literally, to just be like the most cheesy that I can possibly be. Um, and that's, I think, the reason that I didn't jump into the aesthetic that I wanted to portray for so long, instead of um, just going and doing it. As well as like peer pressure, because I didn't want to be perceived as like weird. I didn't want to like fail my parents, like, and I wasn't comfortable enough to do it either. Like I've had discussions with my mother where she's like, "Oh, but did you hate like everything that you wore? Like, now that you're wearing everything black?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, not by any means of the imagination. I still love some of the stuff that I wore. I look back on like the pretty like sundresses and stuff I wore as like a kid, and I still wear shit like that now. It just might be like a black sundress with like red flowers instead of blue and white. Um, I don't, by any means, I don't hate that. I definitely wasn't comfortable with some of the stuff that I wore, just because when you're in middle school, no one's comfortable with themselves. And if you are, God bless. If your peak was middle school, more power to you, because I don't know anyone who can say that. And so I was uncomfortable, not because of the clothing, but because I was confused and small, um, and thrown into a world of with no friends. So maybe if I was emo, I would have had friends. Um, but you know, I think being able finally, like in art school, to kind of fall into or college in general, to fall into like the aesthetic that I kind of wanted to lean into, was super helpful, because um, I can go like fun and like more like dirty grungy if I'm going to like a concert, but like every day of my life I wear mostly all black, if not like black and denim, or black and olive, or black and gray. I'm sorry, black and red. Just because that's what makes me the most comfortable. And when I'm at work, it's a little bit more professional. And if I'm going out like just for fun, I'll wear something a little bit more inherently grungy. But I think having the freedom to kind of do that now, and not have people like, even like in my small town, like because I moved back in with my parents temporarily. Um, even now, like I'll go to coffee shops or whatever, and I think because the millennials and like borderline Gen Zers are kind of taking over, it's kind of met more so with not trepidation but more acceptance. And so like I'll go to a local coffee shop, and the barista is more punk than I am. Um, and I think that the connotation of like unlaw abiding citizen, in terms of your attire in the more alternative sense, has kind of diminished over the years, at least in New York. I don't know if that would be different. Probably would be if I were elsewhere, specifically the South, but that is not my worry, because I have no intentions of moving there. So, anyway, that was a lot, but I think it's necessary to say. And I think that this was kind of something I remember feeling very comfortable in my Nickelback t shirt, despite maybe people not liking the band. But I remember feeling very comfortable, and I remember just really falling in love with the band. And just, oh God, just the sound. Like I would just get so pumped up by the sound, you know? And I think that the concert, albeit how far away we were from the stage, really kind of like solidified that for me, because I got to hear it live, and like it all sounded the way it should. That was something that I think was the first time that a concert sounded the way that it really should have sounded. Because I remember being upset that some of the American Idol people didn't sound exactly the way that they should have, because it's pop and sometimes people auto-tune things, or can hit certain notes when they do it over and over again. But like Chad Kroeger was just murdering the scene, man. Like he was just, oh god, he was killing it. And the guitar sounded beautiful, and like, when you just kind of pipe music into something like you would at a concert like Hillary Duff for American Idol. And no shade on Neil Diamond, but I don't remember those as clearly, I don't think, because I was a little younger. And he plays, guitar and stuff, but it's a lot calmer, so I don't think I really recognized it. This was like the first one that I really was like, wow, this really sounds the way that it needs to. And it was like shaking, literally. I remember Jones Beach shaking. I remember like, because people were like stomping and shit. And I remember thinking it was like so cool and that I was so happy to be there. Um, and I was a generally happy child. So I was happy to be most anywhere. But at the same time, there was something about this that just felt really right. I think I only really realized that kind of tonight when I was thinking about this, because you always joke, oh, I've been to a Nickelback concert, haha. It's like your one fun fact when you go to college or like somewhere new. Put it in your Tinder bio, like, haha, it's funny. But I actually genuinely think that that was something that started me off on the journey that Nickelback turned me punk. My story. I think it's something that made me feel a little bit more excited to discover new music that had, maybe not the same sound that everything else did on the radio or like in my father's music collection. And I still got to listen to that because I was still exposed to it because of my parents and because of pop culture. And that's awesome. And believe me, I still vibe with all of it. Still now today, I was listening to Neil Diamond earlier in the week. Um, I still listen to all of it. It's just that there was something about this that, again, was unlike anything I've ever heard. And getting to hear that specifically live, I think, was kind of life changing. Not to be dramatic, but just to be kind of factual. Literally, I was like, how do you spell saving? There we go. Okay. My brother and father are downstairs. If you hear anything, we're also at that concert. Should have interviewed them. But yeah, we're definitely gonna have to cut this off before I'm done with this. But the text looks really good from where you're looking, and from where I'm looking. Yeah, I'm just gonna do probably the rest of this by myself, which I won't have on. I'll have it on recording, but you won't be able to see it. Sorry. I should have brought my smaller brush, but all my stuff from college is still like downstairs in boxes, so some of it is not as readily available. I did a good job tracing this out actually, because this would have been a lot more difficult. Oh crap. This would have been a lot more difficult had I not done such a good job. Did do a good job. Yeah, truth be told, I'm probably just gonna erase this out, even though I know it should be white. I don't really care. So far away for far too long. But you know. Go check out that music video if you have the time. Yeah, my broadcast stops automatically at 11. That's how things work around here. So it'll stop regardless in 11 minutes. I'm hoping to have this done, this bottom part done, for you guys. Well, I will, because I'm almost done. But what a complicated logo. It looks really good from where you're looking. That looks like type. You did a good job. Pat on the back, MJ. Pat on the back. That's going to have to be fixed. That logo is so small. And my paintbrush is not that small. But I might just fix it with some white later if it doesn't look too freaky. Oh, crap. Yeah, I'm going to have to fix that with white. But we got to let it fully dry so that we don't mess it up even further and make it gray. That is all the type. Should I split this into 2 weeks? No. I kind of want to just finish it off. But that's what the type looks like. I think it looks dope. I think that looks awesome. So, and we're going to grunge up the Nickelback one a little bit. But I'm going to call it here. And I'm going to do this by myself. Because I actually want to take the time to make that look good. Because it's kind of complicated. And I think that would be a great little assignment. So I think I'm going to finish off my night doing that. But thank you so much for tuning in. I will show you the end result of this next week when we come back. And the next concert after that is the Jonas Brothers concert in 2009. So again, we had last week the Neil Diamond one and the American Idol one. Neil Diamond again, Hilary Duff, and the Nickelback one for this time. And I think that's going to be fun, a fun flip through. And it's going to be funny eventually because we go from like really soft concerts to like Panic and like another Nickelback concert. And what else we got in here? Fall Out Boy, you know, Tove Lo, Billy Joel. It's going to be a good time. So tune in next week. We'll be back with the Jonas Brothers concert. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is PunKrap, etc. on Gov's Comedy Club Radio. And I will see you next week.